Speculation continues to grow that the Eagles are looking at trading back one of their first-round picks, if not both. One of the teams linked to them trading back, the Las Vegas Raiders. Dallas still stinks. You might do it, King Dingbat here, and hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. Will the Eagles trade back? That is the question, because speculation is growing. Not that they'll just trade back one of their first-round picks, but they're interested in possibly doing it with both. Do you know how many picks the Eagles would have in this draft if they did something like that? And they better get at least a first-round pick next year if they're even thinking about it. But before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, you like the content, make sure you hit that like button. More importantly, make sure you subscribe to the most censored, the most throttled Eagles content creator in all of the internet. And if you've been subscribed for a while, I just want to say thank you so much for all the support you guys give to me. It truly, truly means a lot, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Now, as we get closer and closer to the draft, we're going to start hearing more crazier things, crazier rumors, different type things that the Eagles may be interested in doing. Possibly, we just heard today there's like 6 teams, according to Adam Schefter, that have been in contact with the Cardinals about moving up to 3. He didn't name the teams, but could one of those teams be the Philadelphia Eagles? I'm just saying. I'm just throwing out there, they haven't been linked, but you would have to think Howie Roseman is usually involved in pretty much every phone call. Would the Eagles look to go up to 3 and try to get Will Anderson Jr.? Would they do something like that? Or are they going to look to trade up and get Jalen Carter? We're going to talk about that later, I'm sure many more times, because I think if Jalen Carter gets to the spot of 8, I think the Eagles are going to make a move. But that's just my personal opinion. What about trading back? That's the big one. There are so many fans that want to trade back. We did a mock trade the other day where there was a scenario that was put forth that the Eagles and the Vikings possibly could be looking to trade. And it was actually a pretty good trade because the Eagles came away with the Vikings first this year, and then they came back with an extra first-round pick. But the Eagles, They could do so many things here. They could stay at 10 and 30. They could trade 10 and 30. They could trade just one of those. We just don't know. I think it really is going to depend on how, especially for the 10th pick, depending upon how the draft falls to top 9. If you get 4 quarterbacks off the board and somebody wants to come up for something that, somebody that they felt fell, they may be willing to trade the Eagles a lot more. Maybe you only have 3 quarterbacks off the board, and there's one sitting left, and somebody's willing to come up and get them, and they're willing to overpay for the Eagles. That's all possible. Everything is a possibility, especially with Howie Roseman. One of the possibilities that came up, I thought was kind of interesting. It was one of these, mock trade things where somebody proposed an idea, and I kind of like talking about these when people put them out. I actually have one more to do in the next day or two, but I like these because they make you think. They make you kind of think about the position where the Eagles are and the different options that they have. It kind of makes it a little bit more real to me when you can attach a team's name to it, right? So I kind of wanted to go over this with you guys, all right? So what this trade is basically the Eagles would get their 30th pick, and they would trade with the Las Vegas Raiders. I keep wanting to say Los Angeles Raiders or Oakland Raiders, but the Las Vegas Raiders. They would trade the Raiders their 30th pick. In return, the Eagles would get round 2 pick, a round 4 pick, and a future round 3 pick. And in that position, in that spot, of course, you can then get Jahmyr Gibbs if he's still there. You could get, there's so many different ways you could go. But you would end up with a 4th round pick. You would also end up with a future 3rd. I'm assuming it would be a 2024 3rd round pick. They really don't say in it here, but they say that the Raiders may be looking at getting back up in the draft because they might want to get a quarterback, even though they they signed or they got Garoppolo, they still may be looking, especially at Hendon Hooker, the quarterback. So that's a very interesting possibility. Now, I'm more interested in trading the 30th pick than the 10th pick. To me, that would make more sense. Go back, into the second round. It's not a big deal, actually, because you're only two spots away from a second round pick anyways. So it's going to be a little cheaper. You will lose a year of having a guy tied down contract wise, though. That's something just to keep in mind. But I would rather trade my 30th pick than my 10th pick. I have a hard time sitting there going, yeah, we should just trade the 10th pick. Like, 10th pick should mean a guy that comes in and plays right away, that can come in and contribute right away, or has the potential to be a star, like, pretty quickly, which makes the argument for a cornerback kind of hard, because you're not going to draft a corner. I don't care if it's Weatherspoon or if it's Gonzalez. They're not going to start over Bradbury or Slay. So those guys would sit. So maybe that takes that position out. I don't know. It's like, no matter what and how you look at this draft, it seems like you always come back to one argument. And it's, do you take player in need, or do you take the player and the talent and the upside? Or do you take the talent, or do you take the need? I think at the 10th pick, when you're a Super Bowl team that has just been to the Super Bowl, that could go back very easily, I think you have to go talent, especially if you can justify that talent playing right away and, in fact, starting right away. I think all those things mean a lot to the Eagles. But, who knows? Speculation is growing and growing and growing that the Eagles are going to look to trade one of those picks, or possibly both. There's been some talks that the Eagles are looking at trading back in 10 a few spots, and then getting that 30th pick and trading back out, getting yourself a bunch of mid-round picks, and then taking really quantity over quality, because that's what you're doing. I don't see the need for that as much as many people. I think that you could pick at 10, you could pick at 30, you could sit there and get your second round pick, trade back, get an extra 5th round pick somewhere in the draft, and then sit there and be okay. You'll be okay. Next year, you go into the draft, you're going to have at least, 12 picks, couple 3rd round picks, couple 4th round picks. You got 2 2nd round picks. I think you'll have plenty of time for all those kind of things, and really following what you like to do in the draft very strictly. Then I personally think that 10th pick overall is so valuable. It's so unheard of to have a Super Bowl team have the top 10 pick in the next draft. It just doesn't happen. I think the Eagles are in a real position to do stuff that they may not normally do, because it just doesn't happen often. And I think that makes Howie Roseman dangerous. I think that makes him dangerous to do anything. He could go up, he could go back, he could stay put, he could take a position that you don't want him to take. He could do a lot of things with that 10th pick. But I think you got to look at it like this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that a Super Bowl team, that a team is going to be one of the favorites to go back to the Super Bowl, actually is picking in the top 10. Let's take advantage of it. I think that's how they should approach it. But the one thing you just don't know is, how much is a team willing to give you to get up to number 10, right? If it's a team that you think could be bad next year, and they want to come up to 10, and they want to give you a 2024 first round pick, I don't mind it. Like the New Orleans Saints giving us a first round pick, I thought it was such a great move, because I didn't think the Saints were going to be that good. If you can get a team that doesn't look like they may be that good, or this is their last shot, or that team ready to take a bunch of steps back, then go ahead, get that extra first round pick for next year. But you got to get a lot. You just have to get a lot to move from 10. You really do. 30th pick, I don't mind if you go back into the second round for that. To me, that one is a lot more reasonable. But there's nothing wrong at the end of the day with just staying at 10, staying at 30, and getting two players. Like I said from the beginning, my expectations from this draft, my only expectations from this draft is that the Eagles stay true to their draft board. They take the best player available. They don't worry about position over talent. That's all I ask for the Eagles. I don't know how their draft board is set up. I don't know what they're thinking. But if they just do that, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I can live with whatever they do. But just be true to your draft board. That, to me, is the most important thing. There's a lot of different options that the Eagles have. This specific trade regarding the Raiders, it's like it's okay. Would I do it? Yeah, probably not. I mean, it would depend who's still on the draft board, obviously, at 30. But you're giving me a future third. They don't even say if it's a 2024 third round pick, and that means I would have 3 third round picks next year. I don't know, man. You're only getting a second, and you're only getting a 4th round pick for this draft. So you're really only getting 1 extra pick in this draft, but you're getting a future pick. So I don't know. That doesn't really appeal to me too much. I would much rather sit there and try to just get a guy who's going to come in and play. If the Eagles can come away with 2 guys who are impactful and play in this draft, I think it's a hell of a draft. I really do. You gotta take care of the future. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, you've gotta recognize that you're the NFC conference champions. You gotta sit there and make yourself better for next year also. Just not loading up on stuff for the future and worrying about 2-3 years down the road. You gotta try to have a balance and do both. That's what I want to see from Howie Roseman. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, of course. Don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's Howie Vision. We're all just living in it. Take advantage of the situation, right? That's what I'm talking about. And you know what? I'm starting to see more and more people question if the Eagles should do that. They've got a top 10 pick. They are a Super Bowl team. It's an extra pick. If there's ever a time to diverge, to do something immediate, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to take that chance because it's such an odd thing to have a top 10 pick and be the conference champions, okay? The Eagles, they can do whatever they want at 10 and then go right back into their normal patterns at 30 and the rest of the draft and still have a typical Eagles draft. But this is an opportunity, and I think the Eagles, they've got to look at it a little different than they have before. And I think people are starting to actually agree with me. So we'll see what happens at the end of the day. We'll see what Howie Roseman does. Denzel Washington out.